If you've ever watched Caitlin Clark play and thought, there is no way that shot should have gone in, you are not alone. What you're about to hear is a collection of moments that defy logic, angles that shouldn't work, range that doesn't make sense, and confidence that feels almost unreal. In the next few minutes, you're going to relive some of the most jaw-dropping shots Caitlin Clark has ever taken. The kind of shots that make defenders freeze, crowds explode, and basketball fans rewind the clip just to make sure it actually happened. Before we dive all the way in, make sure you like this video and subscribe to True WNBA, because if you enjoy elite skill, unbelievable moments, and the stories behind women's basketball greatness, this is the place for you. Caitlin Clark doesn't just shoot the basketball, she bends the game around her. One of the most impossible shots that still gets talked about is when she pulled up from well beyond the logo, with the defender right in her face. No rhythm dribble, no hesitation. This wasn't a desperation heave, this was a calm, balanced release from a distance most players wouldn't even consider. The defense did everything right, but it didn't matter. The ball was already on its way, and the net barely moved. Shots like that change how teams guard you, because suddenly half court isn't safe anymore. Then there's the step-back three on the right wing that looked completely covered. The defender slid perfectly, hands up, forcing Clark sideways. Most players would reset the offense. Caitlin didn't. She leaned back, squared her shoulders mid-air, and released the ball while fading away. The shot had no business being clean, yet it dropped straight through. That's not luck. That's hours of repetition meeting fearless decision-making. Another moment that still feels impossible came in transition when Clark pulled up without numbers. 3 defenders were retreating, and logic says you slow it down. Instead, she stopped on a dime several feet behind the three-point line and fired. No hesitation, no second guessing. It was the kind of shot that makes coaches nervous and fans stand up. When it went in, the opposing bench could only shake their heads because there is no defensive scheme for that kind of confidence. One of her toughest shots ever came late in a tight game with the shot clock winding down. Caitlin had the ball trapped near the sideline, barely any space, and the defender was forcing her toward the corner. With time almost gone, she rose up off one foot, leaning sideways, releasing the ball at an awkward angle. It looked rushed, it looked off balance, it looked impossible, and yet the ball floated perfectly, kissed nothing but net, and completely changed the momentum of the game. Another unbelievable moment came when Clark drove hard into the lane, drew contact, and instead of forcing a layup, stepped back behind the arc. The defender stumbled just enough, but the shot itself was still heavily contested. Caitlin released it with the defender flying toward her, and the ball seemed to hang in the air forever. When it finally dropped, you could feel the air leave the building. Those are the shots that break teams mentally. There's also the deep pull-up three from the left side, where she crossed over, took one dribble, and launched from several feet beyond the line. No screen, no help, just pure confidence. The defender's reaction said everything. They turned around before the ball even went in because they already knew the result. That's when you know a player has entered a different level. One of the most overlooked impossible shots came off a broken play. The pass was late, the spacing was off, and Clark caught the ball with almost no time. Instead of panicking, she took a quick dribble sideways, rose up, and fired a fading three with her momentum carrying her away from the basket. That shot had no margin for error. Still, it dropped clean, and suddenly a broken possession turned into a highlight that still circulates everywhere. Another moment fans still replay is the logo shot at the buzzer. This wasn't a half-court prayer, this was a calculated decision. Caitlin knew exactly how much time she had and exactly how far she could shoot. She stepped into it, let it fly, and watched as the horn sounded and the ball splashed through. Those are the moments that separate great shooters from generational ones. One of her toughest shots ever came while being double-teamed near the top of the key. The defense forced her left, cut off her driving lane, and raised both arms to block her vision. Caitlin didn't rush. She elevated, released the ball at the peak of her jump, and somehow threaded it over 2 defenders. The arc was perfect, the timing was perfect, and the reaction from the crowd said it all. Then there's the shot that came after a hard fall. Caitlin had just taken contact, hit the floor, popped back up, and on the very next possession, pulled up from deep. No sign of hesitation, no sign of fear. The defender closed hard, but the result was the same. Swish. Shots like that send a message to everyone on the floor that nothing is going to shake her. What makes these shots feel impossible isn't just the distance or the defense, it's the moment, pressure, fatigue, expectations. Caitlin Clark takes the hardest shots when the stakes are highest, and she makes them look routine. That's why her highlights don't just impress fans, they force analysts, coaches, and players to rethink what's possible in the women's game. At True WNBA, we don't just look at the box score, we look at moments like these, because moments define careers. Caitlin Clark's impossible shots are not accidents, they are the result of vision, confidence, and an understanding of the game that goes far beyond her years. As the game continues to grow, players like Caitlin Clark are stretching the limits of what defenders can do and how far a shooter can realistically range. Every impossible shot becomes possible the next time she touches the ball, and that's what makes watching her so addictive. Now, I want to hear from you. Which Caitlin Clark shot made you stop and say, "That's unreal"? Was it a logo three, a fadeaway, or a clutch moment under pressure? Drop your answer in the comments, because fans always remember different moments. And if you enjoyed reliving these unbelievable shots, make sure you share this video with another basketball fan who needs to see just how special Caitlin Clark really is. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay locked in with True WNBA for more stories, highlights, and moments that prove women's basketball has never been more exciting.